and thanks for watching. I'm Jesse Mitchell in New York, and this is CBS News Roundup. Here are the top stories. Violent weather batters much of the country with torrential rains and massive flooding from Texas to Ohio, and tornadoes ripping up the southeast. President Trump says he won't back down on his sweeping trade tariffs, even as international markets are already opening to steep declines. And UConn returns to the top of women's basketball while setting a new record. After days of intense rain and wind in the southeast and Midwest, rivers rose on Sunday, leading to catastrophic flooding in communities already badly damaged. At least 20 people have died in the storms. Utility companies from Texas to Ohio are scrambling to shut off power and gas, while cities are closing roads and putting up sandbag walls to protect homes and businesses. CBS's Dave Malkoff reports from the flood zone in rural Arkansas.
An outbreak of deadly tornadoes batters the South and Midwest, leaving a wide swath of destruction across 10 states. In Mississippi, residents woke up to destroyed homes and splintered neighborhoods after nearly a week of nonstop tornadoes. Many communities, including Tennessee, are bracing for more flash flooding. In Kentucky, a building was floating down the river, the torrential downpour causing widespread flooding.
It's overwhelming.
Arkansas, also hit by life-threatening weather. A freight train derailed after heavy floodwaters washed out a bridge.
On the Arkansas-Missouri line, there's so much wind and rain, it's producing waves on this field.
These rains are so relentless, a FEMA search and rescue team from Nebraska is here to help. We went along with them on a mission.
You think someone needs rescued from that house?
It sounds like it, yeah. So here you can see a good picture. Basically everything besides from these trees, none of that water is supposed to be there.
This was the house in the middle of the flood. The sheriff's department cleared it.
If they're out of there, the life safety, is no longer an issue, which is everybody's primary goal.
That's Nebraska Task Force 1. They're with FEMA. They spent 8 hours on a drive from where they started in Nebraska to here in Arkansas to get to a situation like this. This is not a lake. This is actually farmland. And that kind of equipment that they have, that kind of skill set that they have, they deploy anywhere in the country to make sure people are safe in a weather disaster like this. Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Pocahontas, Arkansas.
President Donald Trump is likening his sweeping global tariffs to medicine, telling reporters on Air Force One Sunday evening violent falls in stock markets around the world are evidence that his medicine is working. At the same time, top aides are downplaying the prospect that Trump's new taxes on imports could raise consumer prices or tip the country into recession. Wall Street has been blindsided by the White House tariff announcement. Since the president's inauguration, $9.6 trillion in value has been wiped out. We now get this report from CBS's Christian Benavides in Florida, where the president spent the weekend posting this footage of himself playing golf.
President Trump's Commerce Secretary says the commander-in-chief plans to go ahead with his reciprocal tariffs on dozens of U.S. trading partners this week.
The president needs to reset global trade. Everybody has a trade surplus, and we have a trade deficit. We are paying away our future and our lives. The countries of the world are ripping us off.
The sweeping tariffs on goods from countries around the world set off the worst two-day Wall Street sell-off in 5 years. Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell last week helped introduce new bipartisan legislation to reassert Congress's authority over trade policy.
Consumer groups are announcing, and retailers, the fact that they want Congress to take this action up.
Republican Don Bacon introduced similar legislation in the House.
It's time that Congress restores its authorities here. And the Constitution is clear. The House and the Senate, Congress has the power of tariffs and taxes, and we gave some of that power to the executive branch. And I think, in hindsight, that was a mistake.
On Sunday, President Trump left his Trump National Golf Club in Jupiter, Florida, after taking part in the tournament. This week at the White House, President Trump is meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They are set to discuss new U.S. tariffs on Israel, as well as security issues between the ally nations. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
The Trump administration is facing a Monday deadline to return a Maryland man a federal judge says was illegally deported. The White House admits it made a mistake sending the man to a high-security prison in El Salvador alongside hundreds of alleged members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua and the international crime ring MS-13. However, the administration is resisting a court order to rectify the situation. CBS's Chanel Call reports from New York.
One of the people being held in El Salvador's notorious Sicop prison is 29-year-old Kilmar Abrego Garcia. In court documents, a federal judge says the Trump administration committed a grievous error when it sent him there last month. In a court filing, the White House admitted it had mistakenly deported Abrego Garcia. But members of the Trump administration continue to argue, without providing evidence, that he is a member of the gang MS-13.
ICE has testified, members of ICE, that he is an MS-13 gang member. And the defense, his lawyers, have argued, well, he should be here because he was studying to be an electrician.
Demonstrators gathered outside a Maryland courthouse last week to demand the return of Abrego Garcia, who came to the country at age 16 and was under a 2019 court order not to be deported. His wife, a U.S. citizen, refutes the Trump administration's claims that he is part of a gang.
He's not a criminal. He's not nothing what they say. My husband is an amazing person, an amazing father.
The DOJ has appealed the judge's order. In a 20-page court filing, Abrego Garcia's lawyers are calling on that federal judge to deny the government's appeal. Chanel Call, CBS News, New York.
The measles crisis in Texas has claimed the life of another child, an 8-year-old girl. Mennonite mourners gathered at this church in rural Texas Sunday near the New Mexico-Texas border for her funeral. The little girl was unvaccinated. It's now the second confirmed measles death in the U.S. in the decade. The University of Connecticut women's basketball team has made history. And this was the moment when it happened. Wild cheering from hundreds of UConn students who gathered on campus to watch the 82-59 victory over the University of South Carolina, making UConn the new NCAA champs. The big win ends a 9-year title drought for UConn and is a record-breaking 12th national championship victory for the Huskies women's team. Congratulations to them. Straight ahead on CBS News Roundup, we'll take a closer look at the carnage on Wall Street as investors worry that more countries will retaliate with steep tariffs of their own.
What happens when you get conversation over conflict?
Anyone that doesn't agree women should be in the submarine force has to ask themselves why they would think about that.
I think they've taught me to have grace and compassion.
When we follow the human side of the headline.
Life is a little bit different now.
It's going to take a while to get used to. And I say it to myself that I can't make this about me.
When we put people before politics.
What would happen if it was harder for Mexican residents to come over to work in Presidio?
I think we'd be in serious trouble.
Are you okay, ma'am?
What happens when you experience the story?
I'm shocked at how devastated this neighborhood is. How bad is it in your house?
Look at it.
When news takes you where the story happens.
We've just crossed into Lebanon.
Here in Chicago.
Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania.
When the world's best journalists come together to cover your world, you get the all-new CBS Evening News every weeknight.
Ready?
Yeah.
You ready? At 1, 2, 3. Hey!
I can see clearly now.
Look at this outfit. Amazing. Give me some love, baby.
We got a toy. Look at this.
Oh, no! Time for another quick meal you can make any night of the week.
We've got tips to save on clothes, tech,
and more.
How I got here is nothing short of like a miracle.
talent.
Talent?
It's gonna be alright.
It's a bright, bright, bright way to start your day.
See you
on CBS Mornings.
Here comes a big one.
What I've seen, it's like chaos.
This is the pager that Hezbollah was using.
How is this possible?
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Whoa.
Wow.
Ask me the hard-hitting questions. I'm open to all of it.
60 minutes. Is this what you want?
60 minutes.
60 minutes!
It's time for the CBS News original, 60 Minutes, Sundays on CBS.
This is CBS News Roundup. I'm Jesse Mitchell in New York. Investors are bracing for another harrowing week on Wall Street. Since President Trump unveiled details of his trade war last week, stocks have fallen more than 9%, wiping out more than $6 trillion in value. Jolene Kent reports on what comes next.
It was a shocking week for the U.S. economy. President Trump's new tariffs sent the markets into freefall and America into a global trade war.
Today, we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first.
Nearly a year of stock market gains were wiped out on Thursday and Friday, the worst 2 days since the beginning of the pandemic 5 years ago. Trump's actions have now pushed the average U.S. tariff rate to more than 22%, the highest since 1909. The president, however, insists the pain will be short-lived.
The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
Still, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell delivered this sobering warning.
We face a highly uncertain outlook with elevated risks of both higher unemployment and higher inflation.
Experts say Americans will soon pay more for daily necessities like groceries, clothing, and cars.
How much of this can the American consumer endure?
In the long term, American consumers are really remarkable, but in the short term, it's hard.
Economist Kevin Clouden is with the Milken Institute, a nonpartisan think tank.
How much different is this than a typical swing in the market?
It is definitely different because this is an intent to force a structural shift. But he's doing it by significantly putting pressure on the cost structure of the entire system.
We're trying to take it day by day. I think that it makes me worried.
Kristen Pumphrey owns PF Candle Company in Los Angeles. She imports jars from China that she fills with American-made wax.
How will President Trump's tariffs impact your business?
We're calculating essentially what change that's going to have on some of our raw materials. Our costs are definitely going to go up. More so, we really see that this is going to impact our sales internationally. It's a challenge for sure.
A challenge that has many nervous Americans watching their wallets, wondering what comes next.
Just take a breath and recognize that the market will stabilize. We will adjust to this. And if you're not in a case where you need to withdraw your money right now, don't.
That was Jolene Kent reporting. CBS News Roundup will be right back.
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? And 1, 2, 3.
No matter how you start your day, one thing is clear.
CBS Mornings is the best way to start your day.
Clearly. Look at his outfit. Amazing. Give me some love, baby.
We got a toy. Look at this.
Oh, no!
Clearly fun.
Hi, Otis. Hi. Smart. We've got tips to save on clothes, tech,
and more. Clearly uplifting. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Oh, my heart is soaring.
Oh, I got one.
Ooh, okay. What do you got? I can't wait. Ooh.
The light bulb went off right here. I saw it go.
Okay, watch this. CBS Mornings is clearly brighter.
Ooh. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
It's a bright way to start your day. Clearly, CBS Mornings weekdays at 7 on CBS.
This is CBS.
What happens when you get conversation over conflict.
I think they've taught me to have grace and compassion.
When we follow the human side of the headline.
I'm not asking that we ignore disability, rather that we do not ignore ability.
When news takes you where the story happens.
We've just crossed into Lebanon.
When the world's best journalists come together to cover your world, you get the all-new CBS Evening News every weeknight. The CBS News original 60 Minutes opens its archives.
Pretty loose for Friday night.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not my first show.
With moments you haven't heard before.
It's almost more fun that way when you have something to prove.
Listen to 60 Minutes, a second look, wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't miss true crime anytime you want, anywhere you go, with 48 Hours podcasts. Real crimes, real lives, real justice. Listen to 48 Hours podcasts wherever you get your podcasts.
CBS News has learned that the next federal agency facing Elon Musk's budget chainsaw is the Peace Corps. But did you ever wonder where Musk got that now famous chainsaw? Well, Argentina. Cristian Benavides has the story from Buenos Aires.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
When Elon Musk held this chainsaw to a raucous crowd at the Conservative Political Action Conference this year, it was Argentina's Javier Milei who gifted him the stage prop. 5,000 miles away in Buenos Aires, supporters of the Argentinian president, such as 23-year-old Mariano Perez, felt excited.
It's amazing, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. Sí, bueno, a ver, con la primera pantalla.
Perez hosts a popular podcast for young conservatives out of his home studio. On his shelf, just above books about Milei and a golden plaque from YouTube for reaching 1 million subscribers, you'll find this black Las Fuerzas del Cielo hat.
Just like the MAGA hat, we have La Fuerza del Cielo. La Fuerza del Cielo is the supporters of Milei.
There's also this Milei action figure of him holding the chainsaw, a symbol that is synonymous with the self-described anarcho-capitalist who has reduced government spending by over 30% since taking office in December of 2023.
I think that we are people that wants more freedom, that wants less government pressure on the people. Afuera!
Milei has reduced that pressure by eliminating about a dozen government agencies, laying off 10% of the federal workforce, some 35,000 government employees, along with slashing pensions and lowering wage increases. Lately, anti-Milei protests have been growing, many of them attended by government workers who were fired. One protest by retirees who rely on government pensions is held weekly outside the National Congress. More recently, it has started to turn violent, including while we were in Buenos Aires. Protesters launched projectiles at riot police, who responded with force.
These protests taking place every Wednesday, mainly by retirees, people who receive pensions that have been cut by the government. We can hear the rubber bullets that have been shot. We're seeing fires such as this one that has been set here in the middle of the street by protesters.
We briefly met Francis, a protester.
When the people that support Milei say he's lowering inflation, he's getting rid of trimming the fat in the government.
What he say, nothing is true.
They don't have any commitment to the rules.
Martín Lustó is a former Argentinian ambassador to the U.S. who now serves in the Argentinian Senate and is the head of the Unión Cívica Radical, a center-left political party that opposes Milei.
There's no precision in the cuts.
No, that's the reason why it's a chainsaw and not a scalpel. So it's a big chainsaw that doesn't matter whether it's cutting bits of the government that are very good and important for the president in the future, or parts that we need to do away with.
This style of gutting the government is something Elon Musk and President Trump have praised and started to emulate.
We'll make Argentina great again. You know, MAGA, he's a MAGA person. You've done a fantastic job in a very short period of time. It's an honor to have you here.
So having these cuts in the U.S., from an outsider looking in, are they good or bad?
It depends on the cuts. Will it be with a chainsaw? It won't be good.
Among the many agencies eliminated in Argentina, the Ministries of Science, Education, Transportation, along with Environment and Sustainable Development. Government data shows Milei's chainsaw approach has brought down Argentina's hyperinflation. The Argentinian peso is stronger and now stable, but that strength has made life more expensive, particularly for the poorest in Argentina.
Empeoró las cosas.
Things have gotten worse, Noemi Ledesma told us. She is now relying on a food bank to feed her family.
Nos alcanzaba la plata.
Before our money was enough, she added. Last year, Milei targeted soup kitchens that received government aid, claiming there was corruption. Like Trump, Milei has done most of the cuts by executive order. Also like Trump, Milei has openly promoted speculative cryptocurrencies. In Milei's case, the crypto coin Libra collapsed and left investors holding the bag to the tune of $250 million. Milei admitted he posted about the coin without properly vetting the details. Xunco Rojas is a former undersecretary for international trade. He helped shape some of the reforms now implemented by the Milei administration.
For the average Argentinian, is life better now?
It depends. I would say in terms of inflation, yes. In terms of economic activity, not necessarily.
Rojas is also cautious about implementing the chainsaw approach in the U.S., highlighting the two economies are vastly different. While the U.S. dealt with high inflation levels, it does not compare to Argentina's 220% hyperinflation.
Do you think what Argentina does it work in the U.S.?
And they're very different. It doesn't make sense to implement the same policies in the U.S.
The U.S. Department of Government Efficiency, headed by Musk, is committed to its cuts, which it says will save taxpayer money and reduce the U.S. national debt. And it may just do it with a chainsaw in hand. Cristian Benavides, Buenos Aires.
I think I asked direct questions. I don't know that they're tough questions per se. When do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives? So you would encourage Democrats to work with Donald Trump on an issue like healthcare. That's the role of Face the Nation, to focus on the issues at hand. That means a civil conversation with perspective.
Sunday morning, Wicked Oscar nominee Cynthia Erivo. A few words from Flo, plus 100 years of The New Yorker. Listen for the trumpet.
It was almost like being face to face with the devil.
Women riding bicycles dismembered.
She just vanished.
48 hours reports. I fought and fought.
911, what is your emergency?
She disappeared off the face of the earth.
Ever think in your wildest dreams someone might want to kill you?
This almost became a game of psychological warfare.
You're caught. You're gonna go down.
Stream 48 hours, 24/7. CBS Sunday night.
Here we go.
The ultimate tradition continues.
From what I've seen, it's like chaos.
America's longest running news magazine show is back.
For 60 minutes!
60 minutes.
With a new season.
Hey, let's go.
You're willing to talk about anything. I'm open to all of it. Ask me the hard-hitting questions. So how do you get over the nerves?
Honestly, it's a whole bunch of mind
The most influential people.
Who's the best coach in college football?
Let me see a mirror so I can look at it.
Are you a billionaire yet?
None of your business, man. You trying to get me robbed?
Investigative journalism.
Am I getting a real look at what life is like in here today? Absolutely not.
Do you think people visiting know that these were looted?
When stories threaten our way of life, 60 Minutes demands answers.
This is the pager that Hezbollah was using.
Do you have hope that you may find him yet? They were asking me to do something that was illegal.
They're fighting for faulty parts?
Yeah.
What is the most important takeaway for our audience?
How big of a problem is doping?
Where was the military?
Why are people suspicious?
That sounds like a problem.
How is this possible?
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Whoa.
Wow.
What is going on?
I'm Scott Pelley.
I'm John Worth.
I'm Leslie Stahl.
I'm Bill Whitaker.
I'm Sharon Alfonsi. I'm Cecilia Vega.
I'm Anderson Cooper.
This is 60 Minutes.
The CBS News original.
Showtime, baby.
It's time for 60 Minutes Sunday on CBS. Don't miss a minute. Now streaming. What happens when you get conversation over conflict?
I think they've taught me to have grace and compassion.
When we follow the human side of the headline.
I'm not asking that we ignore disability, rather that we do not ignore ability.
When news takes you where the story happens.
We've just crossed into Lebanon.
When the world's best journalists come together to cover your world, you get the all-new CBS Evening News every weeknight.
Under federal law, TikTok should be banned in the United States by now, but President Trump has given the platform a second reprieve. Ali Bauman reports.
Everyone always asks me, do you have a favorite variety of plant? Yes, I do. It is
a temporary sigh of relief for TikTok's 100 million plus U.S. users. The popular video sharing app will stay online after President Trump announced he will give negotiators another 75 days to complete a sale. The president writing on his social media platform, "We do not want TikTok to go dark."
The bill is passed without.
In 2024, Congress passed a law threatening to ban TikTok unless it cut ties with China, amid concerns the app gives the Chinese Communist Party access to Americans' private data. A deal was believed to be within reach, but CBS News has learned there was a breakdown after President Trump announced the sweeping tariffs, including on China, which responded Friday with retaliatory tariffs of its own.
It really does look like TikTok might be sort of a bargaining chip of sorts. And I think that the president and the White House have always seen the platform as something, as a point of leverage to extract concessions out of China. China, of course, is deeply reluctant to surrender its control of the platform.
As a similar deadline approached back in January, frustrated users migrated to another Chinese app called Red Note, but that app has been sparking similar data privacy concerns.
The big debate with TikTok was the possibility of the party's access to American user data, even if data was stored on servers in the United States. But with Red Note, that's not even a question. The data is definitely stored in China, subject to Chinese law.
So another 2.5 months of TikTok at least. That was Ali Bauman reporting. This is CBS News Roundup.